Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to be spending some time on the EM Test Coupling NX7 bsr-3-480-32. We'll start the video by going over a little bit about the CDN, then we'll move to making the necessary connections and getting the system operational, and then finally we'll take a look at the software using our Coupling NX7. The EM Test Coupling NX7 bsr-3-480-32 is a three-phase automatic coupler designed for testing power lines for surge, burst, and ring wave with a maximum of 480 volts, 32 amps. This CDN can be used with either the 400 volt or the 300 volt version of the NX7 test systems. Let's go ahead now and let's take a little closer look at the front of our Coupling NX7. Here you'll find the front of the Coupling NX7 bsr-3-480-32. In the upper left hand section of the unit we have a series of LEDs, the first of which in that upper left corner is the active LED. Working our way right, we have the vertical waveform LEDs, and you can see we have burst, ring wave, and surge there, and those correspond to the individual testing requirements. Below that we have the coupling LEDs, and you can see we have line 1, line 2, line 3, and so on. And then just to the right of that, vertically, we have our test supply LEDs. Working our way right in the middle of the unit, we have our test on push button, and then all the way on the right we have two different connections. We have our burst input from the NX series generator, and then we have our burst output going to a capacitive coupling clamp. Now let's go ahead and let's look at the bottom of the front section of our coupler, and let's go ahead and start on the left side. There we have our surge outputs for HV and COM. Working our way all the way to the right side of the unit now, we have our EUT outputs, and just below those we have our metal ground references for EFT verification. Now let's go ahead and let's turn the coupling decoupling network around and take a look at some of the connections on the back of the unit. Alright, there's only a few connections in the back of the coupler, the first of which is going to be our reference earth connection, and you can see that all the way on the left side of the unit. Just to the right of that, we have our EUT power supply input terminals. And then as we work our way right, you can see we have our HV and COM inputs. And then we have our power switch. And then finally, all the way in the upper right hand corner, we have our system link connections. Now let's go ahead and let's walk through getting the CDN set up with our EM Test NX7. Alright, so there's a few series of connections that need to be made on the back of the units to get the system operational. The first of which in the left corner is the EUT supply input, which will go to your power source. Working our way right, we have our HV and COM connections that will go from our NX7 to the CDN. As we work our way all the way on the right side of the unit, we have our terminators from our input on our NX7 and our output on our Coupling NX7. Between the two terminators, we have our system output from the generator to the input on our CDN using a 26-pin connector and cable. The final connection that needs to be made is for EFT capabilities, which will be on the front of both systems. This will be the burst out from the NX7 to the burst input on the CDN. Now let's go ahead and let's start the system up and let's take a look at the display. Alright, here's our starting display for the EM Test NX7. Let's go ahead now and let's verify that our CDN was detected and populated correctly. To do that, go ahead and click Menu in the upper left hand corner and go down to Setup. Alright, so we're interested in equipment today and the external couplers. Alright, excellent, and here's our external couplers menu, and you can see we have our Coupling NX7 bsr-3-480-32, and it was automatically added. However, if you do need to, you can hit that add button right there and add that to our menu. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at our surge test menu and take a look at some of the different coupling options. Alright, here we have our surge menu. Let's go ahead and let's click on Quick Start. And let's go to our coupling menu. Alright, here's a list of a couple different coupling configurations for IEC requirements. If you look on the right hand side of this menu, we have the schematic option and then an IEC drop down. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the schematic just briefly. Excellent. And just as you would imagine, it's just a visual representation of the different coupling configurations. Now taking a look just below that, we have a drop down and we currently have IEC selected. However, if you are testing to ANSI requirements, you want to be sure that you do meet those coupling configurations that are required. So to do that, hit that IEC drop down and you can see right there we have different ANSI requirements. Now let's go ahead and let's go back to the main menu for surge. And let's go ahead and click standards. And then let's click that first IEC 61000-4-5 one level. Alright, so this is the standardized test routine. And then if you look at the bottom half of the menu right now in our coupling section, you'll see the different coupling configurations. Alright, that should complete the video today on the EM Test Coupling NX7 bsr-3-480-32. We began the video by walking through a little bit about the coupler, and then we moved on to getting the coupler operational with our EM Test NX7, and then finally we finished by taking a brief look at the software. We hope this video has been useful, and please keep us in mind if you ever need to rent the Coupling NX7 bsr-3-480-32.